go back to talk about missional communities a little bit more? Because it's something that maybe some people haven't heard about a lot. As you mentioned, there are some people that are working in that area. But why does that seem to be something people want to pursue at the moment?
It seems to me, it feels to me that as people engage in church, especially if you don't have any church experience, you're probably not going to church to get church. You're going looking for something else. Okay, you're going looking for something else. And one of the things that you are typically looking for is community and relationships and that experience of people who have some values that you have and you are able to share with them in a spiritual setting. And especially in large churches, but I suspect even in smaller churches that are perhaps closed in or whatever, if you go looking for that experience there, you don't often find it, okay? And so in that desire to find community, or an author by the name of Alan Hirsch would say communitas, all right, communitas, that experiential around a common goal or vision, even with some hardship in it, okay? That life formation, which is a wonderful incubator. We know that adults learn when they feel a need to. They do not learn when they don't feel the need to. So if I'm trying to teach you something that you're not going to use right now, or if I try to teach you how to swim sitting here, most of you might glaze over, especially since I don't know how to swim, so it'd be a really bad experience for you. But if, however, I took you out and I said I'm about to push you into the water and you're going to have to learn, all of a sudden you have a heightened need, you will learn. Well, we know adults don't learn if they don't feel the need to. So communitas is actually a walking through and experiencing life, and I'm getting to a point then that I can say I've got a problem here, 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 and that community and that relationship, that discipling process actually is more vivid in it. For instance, in our ministry, we know, and think about this if you would for a second, if you have not been in church in 15, 20 years, maybe you've never been to church, it's just not part of your vocabulary or whatever, but all of a sudden you walk in the door of a church on a Sunday morning, why would you do that? I mean, seriously. I mean, you could go to Mount Rainier. I don't have mountains in Houston, Texas, so this is like really cool, you know. But I mean, why would you do that? Well, we know that if you come into our doors of our church, or you come into one of our small doors or our groups or whatever it may be in our church, we know you're there for either one of two things. You're either there because you have a dear friend and you just love them and you respect them, and they said you really ought to come, and out of love or respect for them, you've shown up in that setting. We know you're either there for that, or secondly, okay, you have a crisis. Something's going wrong in your life. You know, you got a marriage problem, you got a kid problem, you got a job problem, you got a drinking problem, you got something wrong, and you've tried other things, and you're not going to get up and play golf this morning because something's broken. You need to go try to find it fixed. And if a church can adopt that and provide opportunities for community to happen, and engagement to happen, and discipleship to happen, because you're an adult who feels a need to learn something. You're trying to learn how to fix this thing. Then you can address some of the discipling issues and the community issues that missional communities provide. But for the most part, we're not very effective. Organized church, we're not very effective at truly getting in there and helping that. Missional community is a smaller group of people who's designed for that process. They're living in relationship with one another. They oftentimes are at common life stages, or maybe they're geographical or around a geography, common geography. And so you basically can put them into a neighborhood or whatever, and it allows those multiple entries in. It's like a small, and true missional community guys would shoot me in saying this, and so, but it's kind of like, to me, it's a small group on steroids, okay? In that they're just really attuned. They're really attuned, and they're there for a purpose, and they're there to care, but they're also there to reach. And they keep that tension going on in their life and in their neighborhood.
Wow. That sounds like a pretty important part of the future of the church there anyway, Bill.
It seems to be. Again, we're on somewhat of the leading edge of that, and I do think there's an appeal to it because you can go back and you can see that type of experience in the New Testament. You still have to have some good organization for it, some good administration of it, because entropy is real and it's all going to kind of fall apart. But it certainly seems to have that because it instead of saying to be part of the church, come to me, we're gonna put church where you are. And so there's some wonderful nimble aspects to it and flexibility aspects to it, where it's ingrained in the neighborhoods that I think it makes a lot of sense.